Hello friends, this is Hedda. Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, nice to meet you. You picked a great video. Today I am getting my bullet journal ready for October, which is just around the corner, and I'm definitely inspired by the spooky season that's coming up. This video is kindly sponsored by Ohuhu, and they sent over a bunch of their pens and markers for me to try out. So in this video, I'll only be using pens and markers from Ohuhu, and I can honestly say it was a very enjoyable experience. They sent over a pack of black fine liners as well as a pack of calligraphy pens, which might be my favorite thing out of all of the things that they sent me. They also gifted me a pack of their acrylic paint markers, one of their sketch pads, and a set of 160 dual-tipped water-based brush pens. 160! Thank you so much to Ohuhu for supporting my channel. You can get 10% off your purchase from ohuhu.com with my affiliate code mochibujo. Since I had a lot of colors to play with for this setup, I wanted my October theme to be bright and fun, but still with a hint of spookiness and strangeness. I dare say my combination of themes is on the stranger side. I even had my patrons guess the theme, and none of them could guess the right combination. The color scheme I went for consists of different shades of purple, orange, and grey. A pretty standard October color scheme, I think. A lot of people tend to use at least orange and black for October, especially if they do Halloween themes. Personally, I find orange and purple quite a jarring color combination, but I think it really works for this theme. Instead of using a regular fine liner to draw my setup, I am using a small brush pen, the extra small in the Ohuhu calligraphy pen set. It's similar to a Tombow Fudenosuke or a Pentel Fude touch pen. I'm using this one because I wanted an organic flowing line art, and I wanted to be able to make the lines alternate between thick and thin, even in the same strokes. And a thin brush pen is definitely superior when you're going for this look, in my opinion. I'm using the thinnest one because I feel like I have more control the thinner the brush pen is, and it's also something I would recommend if you haven't really used many brush pens before, whether it's for drawing or hand lettering. Definitely go for the smaller ones. So what exactly is my theme this month? My theme actually evolved a lot throughout my brainstorming and sketching process. I had a whole setup sketched out, but then I decided I wanted to draw ghost cats, and I ended up erasing all of my sketches and starting over, and I'm quite happy that I did because I was feeling kind of meh about what I had already, but as soon as I started sketching these new pages, I felt really motivated and excited to ink it and to make digital versions and stickers for my patrons. So although it took me longer than usual to sketch out these pages and brainstorm the theme idea, I'd say it was worth all the extra time I spent brainstorming and sketching. It's not very often that I have to do this. I usually decide on a theme and then just do it, kind of power through it if I am not feeling 100% sure about it, but usually I like my themes. So I don't want to make it sound like I am like suffering through my themes, because that's absolutely not the case, but this is the first time in a long time that I've scrapped an entire setup. I'd even started on the Patreon printables and everything, and I just kind of threw it away. So what you see me drawing here is my cover page and my monthly calendar. I usually do my cover pages over an entire spread and then my calendar on the next spread, but for this month I am putting them together, so I have the cover page on the left side and the calendar on the right. I thought I'd do this for October because although I have a lot planned for October, there isn't actually that much that needs to go in the calendar. So I think I will have enough room for what I need in the smaller grid calendar, and I'll make some more lists and stuff later on in the next few spreads that will help me stay on top of all of my tasks and everything. I'm honestly so in love with my ghost cats. They are really cute. They started out looking very different with like big oval empty eyes and kind of gaping mouths, but now they look really cute and kind of startled, and I love it. Also, I've been wanting to do a theme revolving around drinks and see-through bottles for the longest time. You know, that whole aesthetic that you see on Pinterest a lot. At least I do. And this is finally the moment that I've been waiting for. Is it strange to combine drinks and ghost cats and pumpkins in the same theme? Yes. But do I love it? Also yes. I think it's fun and unique and playful, but with a dash of spookiness and fall. And I really like how the thicker line art looks with this theme. The coloring in this setup is actually quite simple, and I'll talk you through it while I color in my cover page here. Basically, I'm just coloring in the pumpkins in different shades of orange, and then I'm coloring the liquid part of the drink in a deep purple color. And to create the see-through effect of the drink carton, I'm using a light purple to color all of it, like around the liquid, and everything that's either behind the carton, like the ghost cats, or inside the carton, like the clouds and the straw, I've drawn with a much lighter hand than the rest of the drawing. So the lines are much thinner and not connected all the way, if that makes sense. I'm also going over the areas where the cat ghosts are an extra time with the light purple marker to make the shapes stand out a bit more. As for the ghost cats, they're very simple. I'm using the same yellow as the straw to give their eyes just a hint of yellow, and then I'm using a very light gray to outline them. And this way the ghosts are still white, but there's a little bit of shading, I guess. The gray is super light, so it's almost invisible in the video, but I promise it's there. I'm hand lettering October below the illustration on the cover page, and I think I used the small size of the brush pens in the calligraphy set from Ohuhu here. As you can see, it's possible to get quite thick lines even from a small brush pen. You just have to bend it and press it down firmly enough. I decided to make the title in black because there was so much color going on already, and to be honest, I wouldn't have been able to choose between orange and purple, so when in doubt, choose black. To add some extra details, I've drawn some yellow stars and some purple will-o'-the-wisps around all of my drawings in this setup, because I think it makes it look a lot more put together when there are little extra details like this, and of course sparkles and some extra lines here and there. I also used the white acrylic paint marker to add some highlights to the drawing. And this definitely made the little drinks look so much more realistic and almost shiny. I went back to this spread later and added more color circles, like little dots, with the other acrylic paint markers, and you will see this in the final flip through at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. And I also went over the white highlights twice, because sometimes when you use an acrylic white paint marker on top of other colors, especially like regular markers, it might not be completely white, so I went over twice when it had dried just to make sure that the white was a lot more solid. As for the calendar, I wrote all the dates with a black fine liner, and then I also wrote the dates from like the last few days of September and the first few days of November with the same gray marker that I colored the ghosts in with, but it's almost invisible, so I'm gonna go back and use a darker gray to write those dates because I can't see them. This next spread is going to be my main planning spread for this month. Bullet journaling is all about lists, and this spread is mostly lists. My work is kind of spread into 4 different spheres, I guess, and they are YouTube, Instagram, Patreon, and my shop. There's also the admin side of things, so I guess that would be 5, but I tend to just lump that in with the shop tasks. So I have one list for each of these categories in this spread, and I think you could definitely adapt this spread to have different titles, like you can do house chores, work projects, family admin stuff, etc. I don't have a family of my own, so I only have to worry about myself. And this spread is purely work related for me. On the next spread, I will have more casual fun lists, so stick around to see that as well. These are basically just simple to-do lists, so I will write down all of the tasks that I have for the month of October in the different categories and then cross them off when I do them. Whenever I plan my weeks, I go through these monthly tasks and see which I can insert where. Many of these tasks will be lumped together at the very beginning and then the last couple of weeks of October, because I'll be doing a bit of traveling in October. My patrons already know kind of what I'm up to, but I will reveal the details a bit later here on YouTube. It's very exciting though. Anyway, in September I made a lot of boxes in my spreads, so this time I didn't want to make any boxes at all. So my spreads are pretty open, if that makes sense. There's a drawing of pumpkins, ghost cats, and drinks on each page, and the lists just have a header each, basically. And to give a little bit of structure, I'm using the light purple marker kind of as a highlighter, and I'm highlighting every other line in each section, and this will make it a bit more visually pleasing and also easier to tell the different tasks apart when I fill up the spread in October. I think that if I could change just one thing about the spread, I would have made the headers a little bit different, because the purple is quite dark, and then when you write with a black fine liner on top of the dark purple, it's not that visible, so I might go over them with a white acrylic paint marker after. I'm not sure, I haven't quite decided yet. Also, this spread doesn't really have a main title, like it has the lists, but it doesn't really have anything that says what the spread is. Obviously, I know, and I made the spread for myself, so I don't need a title, but it might look nice to have a kind of main header on the spread. It could say like tasks list, or main tasks, or to-do list, or just something like that. I think that could look nice. But in the end, I just took more room to draw, and I really like both of the drawings on the spread. The one on the left kind of has a soda can, and I tried to make little bubbles in there to kind of represent the carbonated drink. And then the drink on the right page isn't really a drink, because I kind of based it on these like jelly packs that I used to get in Japan sometimes. So they're basically just like a little bag container, and there's a type of jelly in there, and you kind of just like squeeze it through the mouthpiece and drink it in a way, because you can't really drink jelly, but that is what it feels like. So yeah, I just thought it would be a fun drink shape to draw, and a little bit different, so that it's not just cartons and cans and bottles in this setup. Let me know if you've ever tried them, or if they exist somewhere else. I haven't really seen them in Norway, and I haven't seen them in the US, so I don't know. It was definitely a little bit harder to draw because it is bag shaped and not can or carton shaped, so the geometry is a little bit different, but yeah, it was fun. And then I, of course, added white highlights with the acrylic paint marker. I definitely think that this is what made the illustrations pop and made them look a lot better than without the acrylic paint marker. So I'm really happy that Ohuhu sent these over. I was actually only expecting the water-based brush pens like the markers, but I got a huge package. So thank you so much to Ohuhu. Like I mentioned before, I will be doing a bit of traveling in October, so on this next spread I am making a little travel checklist on the left page here. It's mostly to keep track of things I need to do before I leave, so it's not really a packing list or anything. But I do have quite a lot to finish before I take off on my little adventure, so this list will hopefully help me with that. For the spread, I wanted to change up the color dynamic a little bit, so instead of using purple for the lists, I'm using orange. This meant that there was a lot of orange, so I actually ended up coloring some of the pumpkins purple just to change it up. I've seen white pumpkins, but never purple, so I don't know if that even exists, but it does in my journal now. On the other side of the spread, I thought I might do a playlist spread, but I changed my mind at the last second and I made a top 3 spread instead. The idea is that I will fill it in throughout October with my top 3 favorite songs, books, shops, etc. I haven't decided on the 4th and last category yet, maybe food dishes? There's only one drink on the spread, and it's inspired by the ramen drink bottles. I don't think the shape is entirely correct, but it is how I remember them anyway. I used to buy these in middle school from the Japanese grocery store in my city, but to be honest, I never liked them. They were just the only Japanese drink available, so I wanted to try all the flavors. The bottles are fun, but all the flavors I ever tried were just so sweet, and I've never really liked very sweet drinks, so yeah, not my favorite. This spread is very similar to the previous spread that I made with the list, so it has all of the same components and everything, so to make it feel a little bit different, I changed up the position of the drawings. So if you remember on the previous spread, it started with a drawing at the top of the left page, and then it had a drawing at the bottom of the right page. So on this one, I have the drawing on the bottom of the left page and the top of the right page. And this makes it so I don't have to come up with a completely new layout for the spread. I'm using the same layout as the previous spread, just changing up the position of the decorations and the lists, and suddenly it looks like a very different spread. So the travel checklist has a little bit of a header, and I even did some hand lettering for the travel. The spread on the right, like my top 3 spread, doesn't really have a title, so that's why I wrote top 3 blah 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 in each of the headers, so that I could kind of tell myself that that is the title. I don't know what it is, but recently my title game has just not been on top. You know, if you watched my previous reading journal video, I forgot to add a title for my September spread in my reading journal, so there's just the number 9. I guess it happens sometimes. At least in the next spread I'm making, which is the weekly spread, I did remember to write October. I do like that the spread is more orange and that the purple is more of an accent color in the spread. When you're working with 2 very bright colors, like both bright purple and bright orange, it can easily turn a little bit overwhelming, but I think it worked out in the spread. And I did add a little drop shadow with my black fine liner, and also some white details with my white acrylic paint marker. The final spread I am going to set up in this video is the first weekly spread of October. At this point, I'd been setting up my spreads for quite some time, so the sun had started poking its long arms onto my table, and I didn't like it, so I moved over to where it wouldn't reach me. So that's why the light and the background will change a little bit here in these clips. It's kind of fun to watch sped up clips where you can see the sun move across the paper though, because it lets you see how long it actually took me to draw this. Right now you can only see the sun in the top right corner, but it will slowly make its way through the entire spread. Anyway, this weekly spread has a pretty simple layout with the decorations kind of being confined to the outer columns on each side, and then the inner columns has room for each day. I gave a lot more room to Monday through Wednesday than the rest of the week because I know for a fact I will be doing a lot more those days, and also I needed to fit all 7 days onto this spread, so you have to make some sacrifices. I don't often include making weekly spreads in my monthly setups, but I did feel that I was kind of on a roll here, so I just wanted to make this weekly spread while I was at it, because why not? And I think it turned out really cute. I drew another ramen bottle because I felt like that shape would fit this layout the most because of the thin columns on the outer edges. And then I have a little mini calendar in the top left corner of the spread with a ghost cat kind of curling around it a little bit, and I thought that looked really cute. So I did incorporate this in the printables that I made for my patrons for October. And speaking of my Patreon, if you haven't checked it out yet, definitely do that. I have a few different tiers. Most of the tiers give you digital rewards every month, and then the top tiers actually give you physical rewards, so you get stickers in the mail every month. It's just really fun. We have a really fun Discord server as well where we just hang out and chat a lot, and that's definitely where you get the latest news from what I'm up to. We talk about stationery and reading journals, pen pal letters, bullet journaling, other types of journaling, other types of like arts and craft stuff. It's just really fun. So if you want to check out my Patreon, there is a link in the description box below. I do spend a lot of time on making stuff for my Patreon every month, so it's definitely my priority every month to make sure that my patrons get the best that I have to offer. If you join my Patreon during September on the Charles or Twin Charles tier, you will get the September Happy Mail, which is based on my September bullet journal theme. And if you join during October, you will get the October Happy Mail, which is based on the theme in this video. There are of course also printable stickers and journaling kits that you can download, and the September kit can also be used for October if you're more into mushrooms and fall colors at the moment, and you can download previous themes as well because it's all there. It's like an idea bank. Normally I also do a shop update with stickers that follow the same theme as my bullet journal, but that's not the case this time. I have a few different sticker sheets launching in a little bit, but none of those have ghost cats and pumpkins. They're all kind of different themes. So if you want stickers with this theme, being a patron is the only way. Anyway, that's all I have to say about my Patreon right now, as we're getting towards the end of the video. You saw me hand letter a quote by Paulo Coelho, and it says, "Never apologize for being yourself." And I feel like this is especially important during October, where we kind of embrace a bit more strangeness maybe, and just know that it's okay to be a little bit weird. We're all a little bit weird. It's just that some of us aren't scared to show it to the world. I know for a fact that I can be pretty strange. Probably don't always show that on my YouTube channel, but yeah, it's definitely there. You can see me add a few extra dots of color with the acrylic paint markers here, and I did go back into the other spreads and add little dots there as well. And there you have it. These are my bullet journal spreads for October. So now let's take a look at all of the spreads. I can't thank you enough for watching this video, and if you watched it all the way to the end, then be sure to put a pumpkin emoji in your comments. It makes me so happy that I'm able to share my bullet journal with you guys this way, and your encouragement means a lot to me. Please consider sharing this video with some friends if you think that they might be interested. We are nearly at 40,000 subscribers, which is crazy, so just a little, just a few more and we're there. I also want to thank Ohuhu for sponsoring this video and for supplying me with all of these beautiful art supplies. And a huge shout out to my patrons who were able to guess pumpkins and ghost cats for the theme, but they were stuck on the drinks. So they almost guessed the theme, but not quite. I'll say well done. Thank you again so much for watching this video. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you want to check out anything that you saw in this video, my notebook or any of the art supplies, there will be links in the description box. I hope that you're all having a lovely day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!